morning, sir. Nice to meet you.
You too. You can call me Glenn in the
Hello, sir.
interview.
Sir, my name is Ashwarya Pathak.
Ashwarya. Ashwarya. Nice to meet you, Ashwarya.
Hey there, listeners. Welcome to today's super cool podcast. We are talking to Glenn Hayden, a legend in performing arts with over 4 decades of crazy, awesome experiences. From directing tons of planes to working in Australia, India, and South Africa. Glenn's story is gonna inspire you. We're gonna chat with him about his journey, his passions, and what makes him tick into the world of theater and beyond. Glenn Hayden got a crazy career. What made you step into the world of performing arts?
Oh gosh, I think like so many people, as a child you love to tell stories, and you love to play acts and all that kind of thing. But then obviously if you've got an actor in you or an art maker, that starts emerging as something as a career choice. I come from a very very poor area where I grew up, and we didn't have drama class or all that kind of thing. But we went to a school excursion when I was about 13 or 14, and I saw Mel Gibson playing Romeo in Romeo and Juliet on stage. And he had just graduated from his training. And I sat there and I thought, oh, so you can do it as a job. And that's when I decided there and then, yep, I'm going to be an actor. And from 14 onwards, that's all I ever wanted to do.
Thank you so much, sir. You have been worked in Australia, India, and even South Africa. What's been your favorite part about working internationally?
It's a really good question. I was thinking about this morning. I think my favorite part can also be the most frustrating part, and that's about learning the different disciplines that each country has and each culture has about making art. And my mission has always been never to say one is better than the other, but how do you bring them together to make the perfect storm? So that's been a really lovely, lovely part of the journey. I've really enjoyed that.
As a theatre director of Urban Myth Theatre Company, can you share the experience of that theatre company? What have you learned and what's your experience?
Sure, sure. I mean, Urban Myth Theatre Company was a beautiful company. It was primarily a youth theatre company, so we worked from 5-year-olds right through to 28-year-olds. I was the artistic director and then the CEO of the company. We had about 350 people come through our door every week, attending about 24 workshops each week, from all that age range. So, I mean, the most I think the largest thing I learned from that is you're making art for somebody else to express themselves. My job was to create platforms for young people to tell their stories, for young people to learn about theatre, especially as they grew a little bit older and started taking it more seriously. So it was a really, really lovely lesson in empathy, I think, and I think empathy is one of the greatest strengths of humanity. So yeah, it was a really, really lovely journey. I was with them for 10 years, and it was an extraordinary journey of yeah, of thinking about how other people want to tell story, and for me to facilitate that to happen.
You have got connection in Mumbai, India. What do you love about India? What's the most special thing that you love about India? Please share your experience.
Oh, the people, basically. I'm a really bad tourist. I'm very, very bad at going to like, buildings and lakes and forests and things. But I love people tourism. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. I love telling their stories. I love telling my story to people. And I mean, ultimately, what I've learned, in all my travels is that we're all intrinsically the same. We have the same desire of shelter, food, work, and it's been really, really beautiful for me to experience that in a longer term than a tourist, and to then make art with locals is just been an extraordinary experience for me. It's been really, really lovely.
Tell us about the Actors Toolbox training program.
Actors Toolbox was wonderful. It only happens every now and then. It's a 3-4 month full-time actors course with 10 faculty, and it covers everything. It's a condensed version of the training that I had in Australia, and it's just so lovely watch when you have students for long term, as I'm sure you've experienced with your classmates and for yourself, that journey from beginning to end is just such a wonderful, wonderful transition. And you're in a safe environment where you're allowed to make mistakes. And that's what study is about and training is about. It's not about getting it right. It's about unearthing what we don't know and where we can improve. And I absolutely love that experience of long-term training. It's awesome.
You have been honored the Emotions Santos Award. How do you feel about it?
Look, when they first approached me, I thought, what the hell is this? I didn't really understand. And then they explained why they wanted to give me the award. And basically, they'd seen a YouTube of me with a Russian interviewer, and it was me talking about being in India and my experience of being here and my growth in India, I suppose. And then they started researching me and looking at my community cultural development work and my work with young people, my work with people in prisons, et cetera, and my professional theatre. And they very, very, it was very lovely of them to bestow this award on me. And I think if I was going to win any award, to be awarded for my emotional intelligence is probably the greatest gift. I'm not very good at chasing awards and chasing fame and things, but to be recognized as somebody who has emotional intelligence, that was an absolute honor and blessing. And Vizag is beautiful. They took me there for 3 days, and oh gosh, I loved it. It was very, very lovely.
But sir, I personally think that you are a very empathetic person and you're very friendly to others. And that's why you deserve this award. I personally think.
Yeah, thank you. And look, and where I really embrace that compliment is that we need that to be able to make theatre and to tell stories and to make art. We need to be able to empathise with the world around us. If we're going to represent the world through art, we have to understand the world. I think it's a real danger for a lot of artists just to make art to please themselves. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it can be dangerous. And I think we must always keep in mind the most important person in theatre is the audience.
Okay, so you have mentored, guided lots of artists. What's the best piece of advice for young artists that you want to give?
Look, I saw this question and I thought, oh gosh, I wish this podcast was 2 hours long. There's so many things that an actor or an artist of any kind must embrace. And I think resilience is probably the one of the biggest ones. In this industry, especially the theatre and film industry, we're told no more than we're told yes. And how do you survive the no? And a lot of people, especially younger actors, they take it personally. They think it's an actual attack on them, and it's not. It's about the director's vision, and it's never about I don't want you. It's about I'm looking for a particular type for my vision of the piece. So I think resilience is one of the biggest pieces of advice I often give, and to just keep working. You have to, and an actor must act, a director must direct, a filmmaker must make films, and you can take your iPhone down the street and make a film these days. You can get a small room somewhere and you can act with friends and just keep doing it and keep working on your craft. It's one of the most competitive industries in the world, and if you're not performance ready, you just won't get the job. So resilience and hard work, I think, is my biggest advice. And also be great to work with. I think there's so many younger actors. It's just all me, and it's like no, no, give, and be good to work with. And I think that's across the board, not just in acting. But be great to work with, and people remember you, and they want to work with you.
So, what are your views on Blue Room Theatre?
The Blue Room Theatre was, oh gosh, it came from when I was very young. It was 1987 when it started. So it's the year after I graduated. So I was only 22, 23. And it came from an area of, we were literally sitting in my lounge room, my hall at home in Perth, Australia. And we were complaining about the industry, and we were whinging about no jobs, and we were whinging about, there's no place for us all to get together and help each other solve each other's problems. So we said, well, why not let's open a space where artists can gather and meet and hopefully we can help solve each other's issues or help each other. And so we got the building, and then we opened the bar first. That was the first thing we did. We got an alcohol license so people could become a member and come and have some drinks and talk about the craft and talk about the industry and to assist each other. And now it's an award-winning, wonderful, wonderful space where new works are created, new artists are unearthed, and it's yeah, I'm very, very, very proud of my association with that space. It's beautiful.
So, what's your Mumbai Royal Opera's experience? Can you please share
Oh,
it?
it's lovely. It's the most beautiful space. I mean, it's one of those rare buildings in Mumbai where it's truly a theatre. There's a wonderful foyer. The auditorium is beautiful. The stage is lovely. The crew there are gorgeous. The dressing rooms are beautiful. It's an old world, beautiful, beautiful space. So working there is lovely. I mean, I wish venues in India were a little bit more accessible for artists, affordability wise. I think venues need to realize they're not just landlords of the arts, but they need to collaborate with artists to allow the artists into these buildings and have more time in the space before an audience arrives. It's very difficult to walk into a venue of the day of a show, and you need time to climate to the space, etc. But it's a beautiful space. So my next play is there as well, which I'm very excited about.
So, what do you think about community cultural development?
I think it's wonderful. It's certainly been a space that I've worked in a lot to survive as an actor, but also a passion of telling stories from the community. So the philosophy of CCD or community cultural development is that you work with the community as artists. So you're not just entertaining the community or giving them a class and then saying goodbye. You're actually collaborating with them as experts of their life, and they tell the story they want to tell. So it's a really beautiful collaboration. And again, as a director, it certainly added to my empathy again of working with people and working with people from different backgrounds. And I mean, with CCD, I worked with young people at risk of suicide, with prisoners, with people from non-English speaking backgrounds, from oh gosh, all over trauma victims, and to work with them and to collaborate with them to tell their story is just it's an incredible experience for any artist to experience, to make them a better artist, but also to know that your art is actually supporting people in their journey of survival.
So, what do you think is the main difference between a Indian theater and a Australian theater? What's the major contrast that you think? Can you please share it?
Look, I think one of the biggest differences is in Australia is quite the business is quite regulated. We have minimum wages. We have you have to train. You have to go to university and train and do a 3 year training. I mean, I'm not not necessarily have to, but it's the best way. We have the agent system in Australia where to get work you have to have an agent, and it's not necessarily about the actor pounding on the door. It's about your agent representing you and being the person who negotiates for you. So that's probably one of the major differences. India, I mean, the Indian theatre culture, especially, is so wonderful, one and old and fabulous, and when now that's sort of clashed with the commercialism of the Western model. And I think there needs to be a little bit more regulation in the industry. And, there's a lot of actors who are certainly in Mumbai who arrive wanting to be famous, wanting to make a lot of money. And that's not the reason to be an actor. The reason to be an actor or to be an artist is I want to tell stories. And I have to be an actor rather than I choose to be an actor. So yeah, and that's again where the regulation in Australia sort of weeds out the ones who just want to be rich and famous. It's a very, very, very small percentage of people who become rich and famous.
So, why theater is important in school curriculum? Why is it like so important that we have to include theater? Why only theater? Like, this is my personal question.
Look, I think theatre and film, but I think theatre is particularly unique because it is live. you are watching people in front of you. You can see them spitting, you can see them breathing, you can see the whole body. It's not that manipulation of film where we can just, zoom in on the face or the eye or something. So I think, and the discipline of being an audience, which sounds quite funny, but the discipline of being an audience to sit in a theatre quietly while somebody is telling you a story is quite extraordinary, and it's very, very magical. And the other great thing, using that word magic, is the magic of theatre. We on stage we can create the Antarctic, we can create Mars, we can create, Afghanistan, Australia, India, but it's right there in front of you. It's not that process of CGI or locations like film where it's we're obviously there, but for an actor to be and a director to be talented enough and designers to convince a live audience that you are in the Antarctic, is a beautiful thing. And I think also the other important thing about young people and schools seeing theatre and doing theatre as well is it's the place of, again, I'll use the word empathy. It's where we learn empathy. We hear other people's stories. And the best educator in the world is travel and travel not just physically, but hearing other people's story, traveling into other people's minds and souls and hearts, and hearing these stories of people that have survived or celebrated. So I think it's very, very important.
So, we also had a theater program in our school 1 year ago, and we had it on Gautam Buddha and about Sarnath. And the
Ah,
vibe of the audience was very different. Everyone enjoyed a lot, and it was just amazing. At that time,
yeah.
like a person came whose name was Purnam Mukherjee, and he was like
Mm-hmm.
a great director, and he did
Mm-hmm.
like he was amazing. So we had a
Yeah.
different experience with him. We also did a
Yeah.
theater program.
Nice. Lovely, lovely. And I think even if you don't become an actor, to experience telling somebody else's story and being part of the community of the cast, and that wonderful, wonderful, it's like sport, to be part of a football team or to be part of a cricket team. It's the same thing to be part of a cast of theatre, and you're all batting for each other. You're all supporting each other, and that's the great actor as well, is the one who wants the other actor to succeed, in the play. And it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I mean, you could be, you could be doing a play where you're in love with somebody. You might not like that person at all off stage, but on stage you need to convince the audience, yes, we're in love. And that's a really, really nice, a nice experience, I think, for anybody to go through.
So why theater training and workshops are for teachers? Why is it important for teachers and why is it important in schools? Theater training workshops.
Um, Theatre training for the schools, in like high schools and primary schools, or you mean generally in for artists? Yeah, do you mean in schools, or do you mean as professionals, people training?
So I'm talking about schools, the schools.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Look, again, I think it's the same answer really of doing a play in school. To study theatre as an doing the process of an actor for any student, I think is wonderful because of all that stuff about teamwork and that I need to communicate my message. And even if you're becoming an engineer or an accountant or whatever, you need to learn how to communicate your messages. And that's not just with words, but with your body and your tone. And, I mean, we only listen something like 18%. I can't remember the figure, but and we listen a lot with our eyes and how people are presenting themselves and what their body language is saying. And so I think theatre classes in schools is really, really important for that. And also, hopefully, there's one in a million that through school theatre, you're giving them permission to be an artist. And for them to take that journey is really lovely.
So any new projects, dream you want to share?
So we start rehearsals in 3 weeks for Romeo and Juliet, which will be on at the Opera House. And we've done an adaptation. It's 80% Shakespeare text, but we've also included Hindi, Marathi, and Konkani with some of the characters. And that's been really, so the last 3, 4 months I've been working with the writer, working on that. And I think it's going to be very, very lovely. We're setting it in Bombay in the 1970s. So it's going to be quite fun, I think. And it's such a beautiful story to tell, Romeo and Juliet. It's a lovely story. And the nice thing is about Romeo and Juliet, everyone knows they die. Everyone in the world knows Romeo and Juliet die, but it's how you tell the story that matters. And I think that's a really nice message to put out as well.
The acting training is very important for all, even a doctor, engineer, and a social reformer. Please share your
Mm.
opinion.
About training, look, I think in any, like you said, in any craft, in any occupation or vocation, if you're not practicing what you want to do, then you can't do it. It's impossible. You can't just sit in your home, alone. And I mean, reading books is fantastic and really, really important, but it must come off the page. You need to put it into practice. And the only way to put it into practice is to be with others, like-minded people as well. I think it's really important, whatever the vocation is to find like-minded people who understand what you want to do and understand your questions from a deep, deep place, not just an intellectual place.
So, what do you think about William Shakespeare? Like, he's a great poet, and he's great. What do you think about him?
Look, I think Shakespeare is the genius of theatre, and writing and poetry, and everything is derivative of what Shakespeare accomplished. And the fact that he's still performed everywhere in the world after 500 years is proof of that. I would. He's on my dinner list. If I could have dinner with 10 people, dead or alive, Shakespeare's one of them. And I mean, gosh, the man invented words. I mean, can you imagine a writer now saying, "Oh, I couldn't find a word that I want to use, so I made one up"? We would laugh at them. But people would run to his theatre to see what words, Shakespeare has created. I mean, he was so masterful at sound, and that's one of the things as a director and an actor I love. I mean, all of the structure of his language, when you unearth the consonants and the vowels in the pattern of his lines, it's beautiful to listen to, and it's interesting because no one understands Shakespeare, unless you're an academic. We just don't understand it. It's a foreign language. So for the actor, they must delve into it like a foreign language. And as I said before, the audience don't need to understand all the words, but they need to understand what the character is doing, and that's where Shakespeare is successful in a modern context. But yeah, he's wonderful. He's hard. He's difficult. He's hard work, but he's wonderful.
How do you create ideas that like you have directed over 60 plays? So, how do
Mm.
you get ideas? Like, can you please share it?
Yeah, look, it depends. I thought about this question as well, and if you're going to survive as an artist, then you need to be open to many different kinds of jobs. Some jobs I take is because I've been given the job, and I'm just like a gun for hire, and they want me to come in and direct. And then my job is to find what I love about the play to be able to do it successfully. Other plays, I've commissioned about, oh gosh, 35 plays. So I read the newspapers, I read books, I dream, I sit in coffee shops a lot and just dream, and I hook into ideas. But then I need to research if the idea is actually going to resonate with an audience. As I said earlier, the danger is just to put on art because you want to, especially in the performing arts, and we rely on an audience. So we need to work out, okay, is this story going to resonate with an audience? Are they going to come and see it? Do they want to come and see it? Even if it's a confronting issue, I'm looking at a play at the moment called Frozen, and it's a wonderful one. It's a really difficult play in the subject matter. It's about the murder of a little girl. And so my job now is to work out, okay, do I think Indian audiences or Australian audiences want to see this story? So the ideas come from necessity, if I want to survive as an actor, as a director and actor. And also there's a smattering of, I really want to do this play, but then you need to do the homework to work out whether the play needs to be done. So it's a job. It's a job.
So, how do you balance being a director, mentor, and an educator?
They're kind of, there's no real balance necessary. They're very similar in the ultimate goal, which is to make good theatre. And to make good theatre, then you need to make good artists, which is where the teaching and the mentoring comes in. I absolutely adore the hunger of young artists. It really, really does thrill me, and I'm pretty willing to talk to anyone who wants to buy me a coffee and talk about their journey. as an artist and how to do it. I think as an elder, it's our job to pass on information, not to tell them how to do it, but to share our stories and to support them in their own journey. I think as an elder, it's very, very important that's our legacy, is to support the next generation of artists.
So, who do you think is your role model in a philosopher? Like, there are many philosophers, but who is your role model in it?
As a philosopher who's my role model. Gosh, there's so many. Lordy, Lordy, that's a really, really, really difficult question. It's a little bit like people say, what's your favorite music? I always say good music. It's the same with films and plays and books. What is your favorite? Good ones. So, I mean, I think my favorite philosophers come from a huge range of people. I think the best philosophical discussion I've ever had are with people who aren't known. I think they're people who have survived in a very positive way some kind of life-changing struggle, and they've come out of it with a positive attitude and come out with it with wanting to share their story or to live a good life and being good to other people. And some of these people are very well, most of them are very, very unknown. So I mean, yeah, I know I'm dodging naming somebody, but I'm going to dodge naming someone because I think it comes from a huge source. I don't have any belief in one philosophy. I don't have any belief in one dogma. I think we take what works for us and we can throw away the rest. And for each of us, it's very, very, very different. So the actual writer or the philosopher could be quite opposing, but they each have something good and something to take away. But other stuff you can actually pass on.
So, any advice or wisdom line for our organization?
Any advice for your organization? Oh gosh, just aim to do good, aim to produce brilliant students, aim to listen to each other and learn from each other constantly. Aim to accept difference of opinion, difference of culture, difference of lifestyle, and to operate, I suppose, like a really well-oiled village that supports each other. I think that should be the aim of any organization and institute, is to allow a platform for young minds and young energy to shine.
Sir, I personally want to ask you a question. Can I ask you?
Mm. Yes, of course you can.
Sir, in today's world, there are people who don't know the difference between being sympathetic and being empathetic. What do you think about
Yes.
what's the main difference between sympathetic and empathetic? Like, what do you think?
I think I think sympathy, I mean, obviously has its place, but it can be quite unhelpful. It doesn't really move things forward. I think empathy is so incredibly powerful because it forces us to listen, to try to understand, to see things from somebody else's point of view, even if we don't agree with it, and to understand where they come from. And, everybody, I don't believe in bad people. I think everybody's come from somewhere, and it's about where did you come from that allows this kind of philosophy in the world, or this kind of action in the world. What's happened to you? What hasn't happened to you? So I think empathy is really, really powerful. I think sympathy is it's a quick fix. I think sympathy can be a very, very quick fix, but empathy lasts.
So, as you are a very big data, you work a lot. So, how do you balance your personal and professional life?
I'm very fortunate that my career is about vocation, not occupation. I think when people have an occupation, then the saying of work to live, don't live to work really matters. But I think when you have a vocation, it's your work is your life. Everything I do in my personal life, in my professional life, leads somehow to my work and how I tell stories and then the stories I want to tell. So it's about the definition of occupation and vocation. I think vocation is a little bit more like a priest. you have a calling and you live that life. Whereas occupation is you get a job and you earn money, and they're good. They're both good. Neither is better than the other.
So thank you so much for coming to us, like giving a podcast. And it's been like I'm so pleasure that you came here and you gave your precious time to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you're a really good interviewer. You're really lovely.
Thank
So
you so
yeah,
thank you so much, sir. Thank
keep
you so
doing it.
much.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This was very joyful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.